Hey everyone, Monday evening here, October 2nd. I've been thinking all day about what I was going to say. It's not quite what I thought when I was thinking about it, even over the weekend, because you see, today for me is a day that I will always remember, October 2nd, 2006. It's been 11 years exactly since the day of the Amish Schoolhouse shooting, and as I was thinking about it, all last week and even through the weekend, how I feel about it today is different, undoubtedly because of the tragedy in Las Vegas. Certainly waking up to the news of that this morning was not quite what I had imagined, and so it really takes me back to that day, to how I felt, to the thoughts that were going through my head, to what I've thought about in the days since then. And I can say, mingled with the sadness and the grief of that is the understanding and the true belief that God absolutely does bring beauty from the ashes in our lives. And so as I'm remembering today the beauty that God has brought from our ashes, I'm also praying and believing that for the people that were impacted by this tragedy, that God will, and He already is in the process of, bringing beauty from their ashes. And I think on days like this, sometimes it's hard to know exactly what to do. How do we respond, whether we're personally impacted or not? What is the response? And I think the response really is this. It's to grieve when you feel the weight of grief. It's to love the people in your life. And it's to go out every day and shine the light of Christ to a dark and lonely world. I think that we all feel that pain. We feel pain for the people that have lost loved ones. We feel pain for this, this thing that has gripped our nation. And I'm sure that some of us feel pain for other people in our lives, maybe ourselves, for places that we're walking right now. And whenever you're in a season of grief, I think it's appropriate to grieve. So, sometimes it becomes this thing where we're feeling grief at parts of our day and we're feeling something else at another part, and that's just how our heart and our mind work. Sometimes we can feel a lot of different emotions, and I think for me this is definitely one of those days where I feel a lot of different things, but I'm gentle with myself to allow myself to process the grief when I feel it, and I give myself grace and extra space to love the people in my life because I want to do that too. And then, the best way to conquer evil is to do good. We can't conquer evil if we're not doing good. And so then it becomes the other part of this process of how you live life in a place and space of grief and loss and knowing of pain. It's still to go out every day and be you and bring love and light to the world. Because we all need that. So I would encourage you, if you're feeling grief tonight for these events or for other events going on in your life or in the lives of those you love, feel that. Allow yourself to feel that. Take it before the Lord and allow Him to pour His healing into that. Spend some time loving the people in your life, and maybe part of why you feel the grief you feel is because the relationships with the people in your life are not where you'd want them to be, and so that can become a very complicated thing too. So I'm not saying that all of this is easy, I just know that God's going to lead you through it. And then to go out, today and tomorrow and every day after, and make that conscious choice to say, I'm going to be some good in this world. I'm going to show that there's good left in this world, and I'm going to endeavor the best way I know how to shine the light of Christ and be His love to the people that I meet. So that is my thought for you today, this day that's marked for me. If I look across my life and I think, wow, God has certainly accomplished amazing things in 11 years. That if you would have asked me 11 years ago, Marie, what do you think your life will look like 11 years from now? I couldn't have ever imagined that it would hold the beauty it holds. And I don't doubt that in some ways, the beauty that I know is partly because of the pain I've seen. And I think it's this amazing thing about when we walk through places of pain, it gives us the ability to grasp beauty that we might have missed before. And so things that could have been like this ordinary thing that didn't seem important now are strikingly beautiful to us. So I see life differently, and I think that's part of the beauty of what God's done. But to see the healing and the hope and the restoration that He's poured into my heart, that He's poured into the heart of my children, to see the way that the Amish community has received love and healing from the Lord, and then to see what God has done beyond that, that so much of my life is not about that day when, I would have thought that that day would have really marked everything forward. But to know that there's so much about life that's not even about that, but the redemption that God brings is so much more than that. So that's what I have for you today. I'm believing in restoration and redemption and hope, and I know that those things don't take the pain away, but we know that God is here. We know that He's in the midst of this. We know that there's no easy answers for why He allows tragedy, except that we live in a broken and fallen world. But I know He's there. I know He's in the midst of Las Vegas, and I know that He is here in the hearts and the homes of each one of us. And so, grieve if you feel the weight of grief. Love the ones you're with, and go out and be a light of good and of Him in your world. All right, everybody, I'll see you tomorrow.